Good morning. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I see you're all here hopping on today, leaving some comments. We did have a few technical difficulties, so I'm a few minutes late, but hopefully you're all hanging around, not too panicked that the live wasn't popping up for you. Hopefully you can see us now. So I'm excited you're here today, and it looks like many of you are also excited to be here today. Kind of interesting, it is our very last kit release of the year. So that's what's happening today at Tailored Expressions. And as it turns out, I don't have much convincing to do for you guys today. You have already shown us that you love this kit so much. Raise your hand in the comments if you already have gotten your order in. They are going fast, and we knew that you would love this one, so we did order a lot of them. So hopefully get one of these kits before we kind of wrap up another year of card making kits. So if you're newer to Tailored Expressions, then the last Tuesday of the month we release a card making kit, with the exception of a few months through the year. September we usually do our Christmas release, and then November we have Black Friday specials happening, and then December it's Christmas. So we do skip the last 2 months of the year, and so that's why this is your very last card making kit to grab for 2025. Hopefully you have loved the themes this year, and we're gonna see everybody loves their flowers, because I think it's this kit, the Timeless Blooms, that's releasing today, as well as the Nature's Canvas that released earlier this year. Those are the two that are up for most popular kit of the year, and both of them happen to be flowers. So I am super excited that you're here. I would love to say hi to a few of you in the comments, so let me get those popped up here and see who's joining us today. All right. Okay, it's not connecting for me, so just hello to everyone. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We've got lots of people saying that they have hopped in today and that they got their kits already. So that lots of hands waving. Me, I got mine. So, all right. It looks like some of you have had some buffering or freezing issues. We have refreshed. Please go ahead and refresh. We disconnected one of our things around here that usually seems to help with that. So it does mean that it's harder for me to see comments, but that's okay. I would rather have you guys not have a video buffering issue. So hopefully now with one little refresh, that'll get you back in here and we'll be ready to go. So let's take a look at what we're going to be creating today during our crafty time together. And I have some new samples that have come in since we did our product reveal video. So that was on Saturday. If you want to see even more inspiration, you can go back and check that out. Or you can head to all of our design team members' blogs, because they all have write-ups of how they created their projects and what they used. And they are fabulous with this kit. Super excited. Okay, let's get to looking at the project we're going to create today. So yes, this is something I made, and yes, it's purple. I had so much fun playing with shades of purple with this new quad stencil that's part of our Timeless Blooms card making kit. So you can see I have 3 cards in my hands here, but a quad, aptly named, creates 4 card panels. So today I'm going to show you how to use one of those card panels in a little bit different way. So this one is one of the panels used to create 2 bookmarks. So isn't that fun? I love that. And you could even gift these bookmarks along with a coordinating card, or you could package this all up as a gift set and give it for the holidays, which is really the purpose of this card making kit. I like to think about, what we use our card making kits for. And we want to encourage you to create sets of cards, especially during this time of year, this time of giving, and use those sets of cards to gift to others. I know even if they don't make handmade cards, they love to give handmade cards. So think about how you're going to share joy by giving your handmade cards this year, not necessarily with a written note inside, but for someone else to write and send. So let me just open this up here. I did add these pretty insider panels to these today, and I didn't get a chance to show you that on the video on Saturday. So the insiders are really designed to coordinate with those sentiments that are part of that Together in Type set, and they just make that sentiment go really seamlessly from the outside of your card into the inside. Birthday wishes, hope your special day is filled with love and laughter. And then the last one we have, thanks so much, you made my day and I am so grateful for you. And you can see that is foiled as well. All of our insiders panels are toner printed, which means you can foil them with a heat source like a mink. So that is what I'm going to be blending today, and then specifically focusing on how to cut this panel to create 2 of the bookmarks. And I'll talk about a few of the extra details that I added to the cards as well. Super, super pretty. Let's look at a couple more design team samples that came in since Saturday. So Lori Craig's projects arrived, and I want you guys to look at this beautiful color combination. Here is your heads up to take a screenshot. I think these colors are colors I would not have picked to go together, but I love how they make the flowers look so realistic by adding some of that kind of brown tone right down at the bottom of those petals. It just really gives it that realism of sort of that dark to light effect on the flowers. And you can see on Lori's background, she used that beautiful shattered foil that we just released. I think it's called Kaleidoscope. Whitney, are you something?
Let me grab it.
Iridescent kaleidoscope. Yes, this is what that looks like. And it actually applies over the top of the panel and sticks even where there is no foil or where there is no toner. So you'll want to try that on a higher heat setting than what you're used to with your normal toner foiling, just to allow it that opportunity to stick to the panel. So it works best with white cardstock. So I would say if you're blending this on toffee or on a different color, don't expect that the iridescent kaleidoscope foil will stick to colored cardstocks. It really works best on our sugar cube cardstock and our toner printed panels like insiders and foilets. So super pretty, Lori. I love that one. And then with that same color combination, she used another of the quad panels and created a 5x7 card. So you saw several 5x7s that Sue created when I shared samples on Saturday. And I love how the designers are finding ways to incorporate that entire panel into a larger card while giving you more area to design around. And I think that looks beautiful inside the arch with that weathered words background in the back. So, so pretty. I love it. Let's see, we've got one question. What color foil did I use on the insiders of the cards that I shared? That is rose gold foil. So we'll be using that on the front sentiments, and then also that's what I used on the inside there. Okay, one more set of cards for you guys. Emily Midlowski created a beautiful set using each of the 4 panels in a different color. And I'm excited to tell you how she created these. I think that's really a unique way to use our ink. So all of the blooms that she created on each of these cards are made with one color of ink. So if I open this one, let's grab the pink one and open it up. And she wrote in here, strawberry milkshake. And then she gave me a little technique card here. So she said layer 1, she did a heavy application with hard pressure. And then layer 2, she used the leftover ink on the brush from layer 1. And then she used a light pressure with a light application of ink for that 3rd layer. So those flowers are made up of 3 layers of the stencil, and that's how she was able to get that color variation in each of the different layers with only one color of ink. So isn't that gorgeous? This one is the strawberry milkshake. And then this one, let's open it up and make sure it looks like papaya to me. That one's papaya. The yellows are kind of hard. I wonder if this is mango. It is mango. And then let's try this last one here, popsicle. So really, really pretty cards, and I love how she was able to get depth and dimension on those blooms with just that one ink color. So pretty, Emily. Okay, should we get to crafting together? Let's do it. I have my piece of sugar cube cardstock. So I'm gonna start with this in just 8.5 by 11 size. I have found lately that sometimes it's a little easier to do it that way and just cut off all of the outer edges. So we do have those alignment guides on our quad stencils. If you want to cut your paper down to 8 by 10.5 before you start blending. And then when you do that, you can simply make 2 cuts to cut them into 4 panels. Whereas doing it this way, you'll have to cut off the outer 1/4 inch around all the edges before we cut apart the panels. So I'll show you that when we get there, but just wanted to mention that I am starting with an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. And we'll line up that stencil over the top and go ahead and tack this down with teal tape. I do know that our teal tape is out of stock. We are working to get that back in stock. So just put your restock notification in, and it might be closer to December when we get that back in stock. So just keep an eye out if you are a lover of teal tape, and then also maybe put yourself on a little ration of teal tape while we wait for that. Oh, Sharon's asking, is there a chance this is so much like the Nature's Canvas kit that I don't need this? She said, oops, too late, already ordered it. But I would say this is very different from the Nature's Canvas kit. That was exploring stamped florals and then coloring them with either stencils or markers or watercolor. But they were stamped outline florals, and this is a quad stencil. Very different way to execute flowers, but glad you decided to just hop in and get that kit. I don't think you'll regret it. All of us around the office have been talking about how much we love this kit. Our designer here, Erin, who designed this stencil, did an amazing job. And sometimes when things flow easily, you know that it's exciting, or it's gonna be exciting. And I would say Erin finished this stencil in quicker time than what it normally takes to design a quad stencil. So I think that meant that we were all feeling inspired by the inspiration and loving how each of the quadrants was coming out. I love the big blooms style that take up the good portion of that card front and really don't require you to do much other, but you can. That's the other fun thing about these, is there are lots of ways to add detail once you're done with the blending. So with this first layer, I'm coming in with the spearmint ink and giving it just kind of a nice light coat over that kind of larger leaf opening. The detail for the leaves comes in the next layer. And I'm also making sure that I hit all of the alignment squares with my blender brush, because when we remove this layer, we want to be able to easily align the next layer behind or over the top of it. Before I take this stencil off, I am going to grab the next darker color of ink and do a little bit of dimensional blending on these leaves. So this is jalapeno. Normally, probably would not have put jalapeno and spearmint together, but I decided, let's try it. And I loved how it turned out. One of the really fun things we have for you this release is a couple of ink bundles. So the ink colors that I'm using today, there are 5 of them. Those are available as an ink bundle. So if you don't have many of our inks and you bought this kit, it could be a great way to get started and make sure you have what you need in order to make these particular designs look great. So this is the purple ink bundle. And then Susan used another ink bundle, the other second one, on these beautiful cards that she created. So both of the ink bundles have completely different colors in them. So if you wanted to grab them both and kind of work on building your TE ink collection, you could do that easily. And the other great thing about our inks, specifically when blending, is the way that they dry back. So as they seep into the paper and dry completely, those colors are just melding together to create a seamless blend across that design. And you'll see that as you get to using our ink. It's almost like if you walk away from your panel and come back 15 minutes later, even 10 minutes later, it looks completely different. So sometimes I have to remind myself, just walk away for a little bit. Don't overdo the blending. Just let the ink settle and do its thing. And sometimes I do that, just have to walk away, and then I come back and, 9.9 times out of 10, I am satisfied with the way it looks after that ink dries back. Okay, so next up we've got jalapeno. Oh good, Jen's saying she loves the ink bundles, always looking for color combo inspiration. So yeah, and if you have our inks, go look at the ink bundles we have on our website and you'll get some good color inspiration as well. So this layer is the detail layer for the stems and the leaves, and I am just giving it a nice heavier hand of the jalapeno over that entire stencil. And then we'll get into the blooms. So guess what? I have some news. Maybe you guys have heard us talk about, we all know Halloween is coming later this week. And potentially, maybe you remember that here in central Iowa, we have been doing Halloween a little bit differently. We trick or treat the night before Halloween, and they call it Beggar's Night. And guess what, you guys? This year, we get to trick or treat on Halloween with the rest of the country.
I'm so excited!
It feels like a victory, especially since Halloween this year is on a Friday night, and then I don't have to, get my kids out of bed early after doing exciting candy and trick-or-treating things on a Thursday night. So they did change it this year in Ankeny and some of the surrounding communities as well. So it is now, after many, many years of being Beggar's Night, we are now trick-or-treating on Halloween. So I'm excited for Friday. Do you guys all have your costumes ready? It feels like we've already been through so many holidays, and now we're revisiting Halloween. Like we've already done our holiday Christmas release for the year, and now we're moving backwards and actually celebrating Halloween. This time of year is kind of funny like that. Yes, Whitney says Halloween is on Halloween. I love that. Okay, now let's move on to layer 3. And this is the first layer of the blooms. And I'll be honest, when I did this, I knew I had picked 3 coordinating colors for the blooms, so that was the first step, but I didn't do a lot of thinking about which layer should be which. And I'm not sure, I can't speak for the rest of the designers, but I love how it turned out, and I think it would turn out equally beautiful if I had done it, even in the opposite direction. So I am gonna go light to dark and start with macaron. And if you guys get a chance to check out design team projects, I don't have them here in front of me, but Jen Schultz, if you guys know Jen Schultz from our design team, she is an art teacher. Like in real life, that's her job. And she made the most beautifully blended blooms. Say that 3 times fast. She made the most beautifully blended blooms. kind of taking each layer and creating a dark to light on every layer. I might have to have her teach a class on that someday, because when she sent me pictures of the cards, I was just in awe of how real the flowers looked based on the way that she chose to blend them. She did say that it took her over an hour to blend the panel though, which that was the thing I thought, you know, not everybody has an hour plus that they want to spend blending the panel. And sometimes you just want to get a nice set of cards done, which you can do by doing what I'm doing and just blending out these colors kind of in succession in a triple color way. So grab 3 coordinating colors. So again, macaron on this first layer, and then I'm going to show you what I do for a dimensional blend, because I do think it's important that the layers have some kind of dimension to them. It just helps draw the 3 layers together so they don't look so separate. So I'm going to grab dried fig here. This is a bit darker, so you can use a detail blender brush. If you're going to use a detail blender brush, I would start off on the plastic part of the stencil and then drag it onto the opening, just so that you're not getting, you know, such a stark inking at the base of these pieces, sort of feathering that color up from the base of the opening towards the top. And I just kind of hang out in the bottom third of each of these openings. Of course, all of the openings are different size, but if you just look at the size of the opening and kind of hit the bottom third with that dimensional color, then you know you're leaving a good portion of the petal still with its original color intact. You don't want to cover the whole petal with your dimensional blend, or it's not a dimensional blend anymore. All right, move down here. So tell me, since we're on the topic of Halloween, what are you going to be this year? Does your family do like a family costume? Do you dress up and sit outside on your porch and scare the kids when they walk up? We have some houses in our neighborhood that like to do that, and I always think it's fun. And we also have some houses in our neighborhood that make trick-or-treating fun for the adults. So they'll put out, did you guys see that? I almost tapped into my teal tape dispenser instead of my ink pad. But they'll put out like hot dogs and different things that you can almost trick-or-treat your dinner around our neighborhood.
Me and my family are dressing up as cows.
Cows?
We have me and Saxon are cows. Izzy is a scarecrow, and Brett is a farmer.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that what you did for your zoo night too?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, fun. Okay, layer 2 coming on here. This one is going to be dried fig. Make sure I get those alignment squares lined up before I tack this down. And the more layers you do, the more you can see. Use your visual cues to make sure that that stencil is lined up over the places you've already blended. We're going to come in with a bigger brush this time, and not a super heavy hand. We don't want to get too heavy with this layer, or we won't be able to see the contrast with that final concord layer that we're going to add. Pretty, pretty. Let's see. What's everybody going to be? Oh, we have a question. Is Together in Type stamp and die available outside of the kit? Nope, it's only part of the kit currently. The items that are available outside of the kit are the foilets that coordinate with the Timeless Blooms stencil, and also the foilets that coordinate with the Together in Type are available separately, but the die is not. So I would, unless you want to fussy cut out those sentiments, I would not grab the foilet unless you also have the kit coming to you. Carol's going to be Winnie the Pooh. I love that. Question, why do you use the stencils in a different order? I think I'm going in order. I'm on layer 4 right now. So, yeah, layer 1 and 2. I follow the order of the numbers that are etched into the bottom right corner. So, let's see. Any ideas about Black Friday deals? Laura's asking. Yes, we do have our season of crafting and Black Friday coming up in November. So we will be, stay tuned to TE's social media and even our newsletter, where we will be putting out a calendar of those upcoming deals. And as we get closer to Black Friday, you'll get details on our favorite time of the year for our customers, I think. Our doorbuster bundles that are often filled with new products, never before seen, at deep discounts. So if you have friends that have never tried tailored expressions, this is a great time of year to get them ready to have fast fingers and get themselves one of those deeply discounted bundles and start their TE journey. So we do have some exciting things coming up in November. All right. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to peek at this layer and see if I like the contrast that I see between the macaron and the dried fig. I think I do. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that layer, and we're going to fill in with the Concord then. So final layer is number 5. It's a 5-layer stencil, if you didn't pick up on that from the kit item page on the website. We did that to give us even more layers with that bloom to really explore how those petals fit together, and turned out looking really pretty. So, all right, Concord grape then on this final layer. Oh, that's fun. Melanie says her kids don't dress up. They're in high school, but her dog is going to be a hot dog. I love that. Henry doesn't typically like to dress up, but we might try to take him around to a few houses this year. He's getting more and more okay with kind of crowds and walking up places he doesn't know, and he of course loves to run around. So even if we don't go up to any doors, just burning off some energy by running around the neighborhood will probably be a good thing. So far, Maddie says she's not sure if she's going trick-or-treating, so she's an 8th grader this year. I feel like this is sort of maybe the last hurrah for her and her friends. And then Charlie wants to go trick-or-treating with a friend. She has not decided what she wants to be yet, and maybe I was a bad mom this year, but I was like, Charlie, we have a lot of costumes that your sister has worn once, I've worn once, you've worn once. How about we pick something from the costume closet? Was that horrible of me? Hopefully, you know, she didn't throw too big of a fit, but I don't think she has decided yet what she's going to wear from the costume closet. We've got all kinds of things. I think we have a hot dog for a human also Melanie, so maybe she'll be a hot dog. And I know we've got a waffle in there. She could be that. We have a squishmallow. Those are kind of fun and warm. So I think it will be kind of chilly, especially after the sun goes down this Halloween. And last year I was a Target shopping basket. Target is one of my favorite stores, so I got a costume that was basically just like a felt cutout of a Target shopping basket, and you wear it over your shoulders like suspenders. And it embodied me perfectly. So, okay, I'm gonna take a detail blender brush on this Concord layer and hit these bottom pieces of the stencil openings again with a really deep color. And this is kind of like what I showed you on Lori's card sample, where she used the brown to really draw out that deep color at the base of the petals. And it just gives you that extra bit of contrast that makes these petals pop. Okay, and then we're going to do the big reveal, the fun part. When you're all done and you pull it off, how many of you like audibly make a gasp when you get done with a quad? I've been known to do that. Okay, I just had to stop and read Tiffany's comment. She said her 13-year-old wasn't sure if he wanted to go trick-or-treating this year, so he decided that he wanted to, and his costume is a t-shirt that says, "This is my costume, bruh." And anyone who has teenagers can totally understand the bruh. So we get that a lot around our house. It's, you know, one of my other names that I respond to, bruh. Okay, almost there. All right, we'll put that Concord grape back and do our big reveal. Look at that. Woo! I love it. Okay. Now comes the really fun part of cutting these apart and making them into projects. So let me grab my paper trimmer, and I'm going to clean my surface first, and then I'm going to show you what I was kind of trying to explain earlier about how we're going to cut off a 1/4 inch around the entire piece, and then we'll cut it into quarters. That's going to make sure that your the measurements that we figured out for you are perfectly aligned if you do it that way. Okay, a little bit of alcohol for the ink and adhesive that's on my glass board here. Make sure we get all that adhesive off. I don't want it on my pretty finished panels. Okay, paper trimmer then. So we are going to cut off, or I am going to cut off, a 1/4 inch around all of the edges. So I like to line that up on my trimmer at the kind of 1/4 inch over the cut line. And then just trim and turn. Until you've done all 4 sides. Okay, so that leaves us with a piece of paper that's 8 by 10.5. And if you like math, you can divide that in 2 on each side and know that we are going to cut this at 4 by 5 1/4, which is the layer that fits perfectly inside an A2 card base. So I'm going to take this at 4 first, And then we'll go ahead and cut this at 5 1/4. And that makes sure that all of your panels are perfectly centered and you don't have to think about it. We have done all of the thinking and measuring and designing for you. And you, as long as you cut it correctly, you just get to cut. So there they are. Now let me lay these out for you and show you. These are the 3 panels that I made into cards. So we'll start with, let's see, this one. This one is the one on the left, and you can see I added some stitch details around the outside with our cross-stitch stacklets. I added splatter and over-stamped the background with another background stamp. We're going to do that on the bookmark, so you'll get to see that. And then, of course, we have our rose gold little glitter drops as well, and a foiled sentiment. So that's how that one turned out. Then we've got this one next. I decided to grab the A2 postage stamp stacklets to create this one, and I just used one of our A2 layer stacklets here and cut out the panel to kind of bring it in a little bit farther so that it would fit on top of the A2 postage stamp stacklet. So, all right. Sorry, I just put my hand in my microphone, so I have a feeling that maybe hopefully I didn't hurt anybody's ears with that. Okay, so there's the second one then. And then this is the third panel, again using those cross-stitch stacklets, over-stamping the background, some of our rose glitter drops. These actually come in the kit. You get a small sampler pot of them, but we do have them available also separately. Maybe not. I know they were low in stock when I hopped on this morning, so if you know you want the full bottle of these rose glitter drops, you'll want to grab that now. We do plan to restock them, so they will likely run out though. So here's this. Okay, Whitney's nodding at me that they are out. So there's what that one looks like. All right. Yeah, the only thing currently sold out is the glitter drops.
And the envelope seals.
Oh, and the envelope seals. Okay, so thank you. Other people are asking if things will be restocked. So typically what we do, especially with our more popular kits, is they become part of our collection at a later date. And we love this quad so much that you know it's going to come out later. So when is the question? Not soon. Okay, so here's the panel we are going to use for these bookmarks. And I'm going to grab my splatter box, and we're going to do a little bit of splatter and stamping before we cut these apart. You can see the splatter in the background, and if I hold it up really close, can you see the stamp on the background of those petals? I used the fine line script stamp, and maybe it's easier to see on this one where the petals are a little bit larger. You can definitely see it in person. It adds a really nice touch to this. So we're going to stamp this panel first, and I am going to stamp with sugar cube ink, which means that you won't see the kind of over stamp of this background on the white paper because I'm using the sugar cube ink. So let's look at this, make sure that I got it right side up because this does kind of have a right side. It's a little harder to tell with the cursive stamp than with the printed stamp. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and put this, making sure that it's straight and fully on that background, and I'll pick it up with the back of the MISTI. There's a little bit of adhesive under here, which is what allowed me to pick up that, that piece of paper off of the stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this down the middle with sugar cube ink. And I usually do this a couple times. Heather has explained this before, that she really likes to keep her her Sugar Cube ink pad a little bit more dry, and I would say ours is a little dry as well. So I like to stamp it more than once, as opposed to keeping the stamp pad really gooey, and then you risk having kind of feathering or I don't know what other word to use besides kind of goopiness in your stamped imagery. So you can see that fine line script on the blended portions of that image. I'll take that out and grab my splatter box. All right, I'm just going to do the one panel, but you could throw all the panels in here when you do yours. And I have my Gansai Tombi watercolors. I'm going to use two different colors. I'm going to use the white gold, and I think I'll use the champagne gold. So these two. Whoops. Take it out of the frame here and put a few drops of water inside the each of the wells that I'm going to be using. So I just put, you can see a little bit of water on top of the surface here. Then I can mix that around. And once I've mixed that medium together well, then I can just tap my brush onto the paper. And really these kind of white gold splatters are going to show up best on the colored portions of the background, but they do show kind of as a metallic-y white over the top of the Sugar Cube cardstock. So you might not see a ton of the splatter on your paper, but it is there. Okay, so then when I'm done with that color, I'll just wipe this brush out and mix the champagne gold color together. This one has more of a gold tinge to it, so you will see it across the whole background. Okay. Lightly tapping across the brush. The harder you tap across the brush, the more your splatters tend to kind of splat as they drop, because you've really tapped your brush with a lot of force. The drop is coming off the brush quickly, and then when it lands, it goes splat. So if you're getting some of those splats on your paper, try just tapping a little bit lighter on your brush and letting those drops just kind of naturally fall rather than forcing them off the brush and onto your paper. Hopefully that little tip helps. And I'm going to pull this out. Here's what that looks like a little bit closer. Got some pretty splatter on the background. And I don't think I got any of it on my clothes. So hooray. Winning for the day. Okay, so the background of my bookmarks is Brussels sprout cardstock. And I know I said I used jalapeno ink, but when I went to make the bookmarks, I really thought I liked the Brussels sprout cardstock with this. So you can play with it if you like the jalapeno. You do you. And I am going to grab I think this one is called Take Two Pretty Polka Stencil. And we called it Take Two because it has two different designs on one large scale stencil. And I'm really just going to focus on one half here and blend across that with the Brussels sprout ink. And I need my little glass board buddy. So just a tone on tone blend. Another little, Taylor's being a little extra because I originally did this and the background looked a little plain. So if I think about a bookmark as something that I feel like people are going to keep and use, I want it to look really special. looks like some people are saying the kits are sold out. The kits are not sold out, just the big bundle is sold out because there are pieces in that larger bundle that are not available, but the kit itself is still available. So just a heads up, you know, unless you're watching this on replay later, then I'm not sure. But all right, let's go ahead and pull this up. I like to just peek before I really lift it completely off, but it looks good. Looks like I got all the way underneath there with my inking. Sometimes when you're doing tone on tone, it's harder to tell whether you've completely inked the surface of the stencil or not. Okay, so let's take the paper trimmer again, and I'm just going to cut half of this sheet off so that we can fit it through the die cut machine. And then that stencil or that die that I mentioned using for the bookmarks, it looks like this, and it is called Bookmark Builder. So we released this with the kit earlier this year, the book kit that Heather designed, the Treat Your Shelf. And the cool thing about this bookmark die is it also has these die cut books in it that are fun to create, like stacks of books. There's an open page book as well. And then the bookmark itself comes with two pieces. So I'm going to use this inner piece to cut my blended panel, and then this outer piece to cut the base of the bookmark. Okay, we can get two of these bookmark bases out of this half piece of cardstock that was blended. So I'll do one and then just shift it over and do the second one. Then I'll have to check and make sure that my splattered panel is dry before we send that through the die cut machine. Okay, punch out the little notch at the top, and we'll do this second one. Okay, so two bookmark bases that are patterned. Now we'll take that inner piece, and I'm going to grab that splattered panel and just kind of touch. Looks like we're good. And we are going to take, and I am going to push this kind of all the way down and all the way over as far as I can go. And then I'll tack that in place. And we'll send one of them through. Okay, then we can shift this over again. So we've got one piece here, and you will notice that obviously it doesn't go all the way to the bottom, but we have our extra piece that we're going to stamp and place at the bottom to give it a little bit of extra detail and a little bit of extra length. So then I'm going to do the same for this one. Just giving it as much length as I can, putting that die all the way to the top. Joan is asking what was the name of the stencil. I think you're talking about the one that I just used for the bookmark backgrounds, and that was called Take Two Pretty Polka. There's kind of two different polka dot patterns on that stencil. All right, so there are the pieces that we have so far. Then before I put my die cut machine away, actually I need to grab this bottom piece here, and I am going to cut, I want the bottom of my bookmark to match up with the backer piece. So I'm going to use this inner piece to kind of cut the bottom of this die cut, or this purple dried fig piece, so that when I line it up, it has the perfect rounded edges to coordinate with the backer. And I'll do 2 of those, and then we'll go ahead and stamp these. Okay, so we have 2 of those pieces. Let's bring that Misty with the fine line script background back into the picture here. I gotta wipe it really quick, which shouldn't be too hard because sugar cube ink is pretty easy to get off of the stamp. All right. And then I'll grab my cloth and just get the moisture off of the top. Take those 2 pieces and place them down on the base of the Misty. And we'll stamp that tone on tone. So this is dried fig ink over dried fig cardstock. Okay, we're getting there. All right, here's how it's looking. This is going to go down here at the bottom. Now, a couple things you could do. I think what I did, I obviously don't need this entire piece of the dried fig, so I kind of laid it on my background here on the bookmark backer. And I take my pencil or pen and just kind of mark where I want to cut that. I usually mark it just a little above, so there's a tiny bit of overlap. And then we'll cut that off because we don't need the entire amount, and it will just add kind of extra thickness. If you like the idea of adding extra thickness, then I would probably suggest just cutting this entire purple piece and then laying the white over the top. All right. The problem is being able to see your pencil mark. Anybody else? Do I need glasses? Is it time?
It's time.
Okay. So that was about 1 inch, and I'll just do this one the same then. So we have 2 1-inch pieces that are going to go at the bottom. Go ahead and place those. Somebody else is asking the name of the bookmark die set. It is called Bookmark Builder. Okay, and with the bookmark, I intentionally chose not to use anything that was dimensional, so I didn't use any foam tape, and I also didn't use any gems on the bookmark, just the splatters, because you figure people are going to be using this in a book. You don't want little glitter drops to kind of dent their paper while their book is closed. Okay, we're getting close here. Then of course I wanted just one little step of elegance, one extra little step of elegance by adding a foiled piece into the bottom of this bookmark. So as we discussed earlier, this is rose gold foil, and I have this already done, so you can take a look at it, but this is just you can use a couple different products for this. You can use the Gina K polyglaze sheets that we carry, and you can place your foil over it and put it through your machine, and then the foil will stick to it. You can do the same thing with the toner panels or the peel and stick toner panels that we offer. Those are just black as opposed to white. The black ones are a little less expensive, so if you're just covering it completely with foil, a lot of times I will use those for the things that don't matter what color you're seeing through the back. Okay, so I'm gonna place this little piece in my maybe. There we go. Place that in there and cut it in half so it's just a little bit thinner. And again, I can use my pencil to mark on the back. Anybody else do the pencil mark thing, or do you measure it? I'm sure if Susan was here, she would be measuring it. Okay, one more little mark here, and we'll cut off what we don't need. And adhere those to the bottom. So another reason for this was I wanted to cover up that little bit of white between the stem and the bottom of the paper. So I actually put my piece of foil kind of halfway covering both pieces of cardstock. And then if you want to, you can add a little tassel. You could use our fringe die to create your own tassel like we did at Stamp Joy for one of the make and takes. But for this, I just used a length of burlap twine. Grabbed that and just pulled out, I don't know, I don't probably have a really good measurement on how much. I just sort of pulled it out until my arm wouldn't go anymore. And let me grab my scissors. Am I missing it, Whitney? It's a tornado around. Oh, here's a scissors. This isn't the one I normally would use for twine, but it works. Okay, so once you have that long length, you can simply fold it in half, and then I'll cut it again, and then fold it in half, and then I cut it again, and then fold it in half one last time. And then we're going to take that loop, instead of cutting the folded edge, we're going to take that loop and run it through the notch of the bookmark, just like this. I went through the front of the bookmark and then took these loose ends and pulled them through the loop like this, and then tighten that around the notch. Don't pull too hard because you don't want to, pull your notch open. And then you've got a little something sticking out. You can always cut it longer too and then trim off if you want it to be a little bit shorter. But there you go, finished bookmarks. And hopefully you have fun creating some of these, making these as gifts to give with a card. Maybe you've got a book club that you're going to create for. I think that's a fun way to gift a little something at the holidays. All right, let's... I'm reading somebody's comment again about how long was that string, because you have volleyball arms, and that is true. I'm tall and I have long arms, so I can get you a better measurement, but I would say it's about, maybe not quite a yard, maybe like 24 inches, something along those lines. Yeah. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so glad that you're loving the Timeless Blooms kit as much as we are. So grab your kit while you still can, and let me give you a little bit of a lay of the land for the rest of the week. So Susan will be in this Thursday for another live. And is she featuring the kit, right?
Yes.
Yes. So Susan's going to feature the kit, and she's using the Foil It panel. So that will be fun to see that in action. And then on Saturday, Whitney and I actually will not be here this Saturday. So we do have a release happening next week, but it is pretty small because next week we have something even more exciting, something that I know many of you are going to want to get in on. So don't write us off for next week. Definitely be checking back, and details will be coming out later this week about that. So no release reveal on Saturday, but I will be live next week, Tuesday, making a new project with just a couple new products that we're introducing. So, all right, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.